Hello again, and thank you for inviting me back. This is becoming my home community, and I love it. Thank you. So today the title that I chose for our contemplation is Fugitive Hope, Sacred Acts of Resistance. I want to stay with the theme of hope. If you remember last time I was here, we spoke about wise hope, as described by Roshi Joan Halifax and others. Today we're going to kind of switch a little sideways and go fugitive. So what is fugitive hope? It's actually a concept that comes from the decolonial and disability authors and scholars. And it is this invitation of hope that lives in the cracks, not in the main foundation, not in the main structures of systems, but in the cracks, in the crannies, in the corners. For me, the word or the phrase fugitive hope actually came through one of the teachers that I love and follow, Bayo Akomolafe, the Nigerian author, teacher, and just this all-round wonderful human being, and a trickster to boot. And some of the questions he asks that are really, for me, very alive. So one of the questions he asks is, what if the hope in these times of collapse isn't found in fixing broken systems, but in becoming illegible to them? The system cannot read you. What might that look like? How do we situate ourselves at tangent to systems of power? Or there's another way that he phrases it sometimes. What if we imagined a different way of moving through crisis that creates possibilities that are so outside the norm that systems of domination cannot imagine and hence cannot control them? And the song that we just sang and we heard before, Wade in the Water, is an example of such living at the crack. One of the things that Bayo speaks about is he imagines the slave ships coming from Africa, crossing the Atlantic. And he says, in the belly of these slave ships, there are not only human beings, but along with them rides Eshu, the trickster Yoruba god, and he's whispering messages to them about how to be fugitive, how to do things in a way that the system is unable to address because it's too large and it's too set in its ways. And in fact, there are many scholars, decolonial scholars, who say that songs, spirituals like Wade in the Water, was more than a song. These were coded messages. And Wade in the Water specifically was about when you are escaping the plantations and entering the Underground Railroad, get into creeks and waterways because the dogs of the slave catchers will lose your scent. It is that specific. It is that direct. And that is fugitive hope. And that is the blessing of gods like Eshu. Arlen Bishop, another wonderful, wonderful scholar in this space, actually said something that's, to me, like it shook my world. He says that when we use the terminology of the escaped enslaved people entering the Underground Railroad as escaping from slavery to freedom, we are replicating what he calls plantation logic. We are placing slavery and freedom in a binary tension. He says, no, these people were not escaping from slavery to freedom. They were actually leaving certainty to move towards the uncertain. What happened in the plantation every day was certain. What they were going towards, they didn't know. They didn't know whether they would make it. They didn't know what awaited, but they put trust in that uncertainty. So the invitation to us today is to do the same thing, to trust what is wanting to be born. Just to quote two authors, one, I'm sure you've heard this quote, which I love, is Audre Lorde, saying that you cannot dismantle the master's house with the master's tools. You need different tools. And the other one is Arundhati Roy, who comes from my tradition, my culture. She's an author. And she says how we are actually right now living at the cusp of two worlds, one that is dying and the one that is not yet born. And she has this quote, which is beautiful. She says, another world is not only possible, she is on her way. On a quiet day, I can hear her breathing. Let's take that in. On a quiet day, I can hear this new world that's coming, breathing. So what does fugitive hope look like in today's day and age? I can think of several examples. One is things like mutual aid, things that work below the radar, that no system can legislate. And there's something really beautiful about these mutual aid networks where so much support can happen. There are community health workers right now in many, many countries in Asia, in Africa, in South America, often trained in both Western medicine and indigenous medicine. They are not affected by the USAID crisis because they live in the community, they know the needs, and they know how to subvert the system. The midwives who will run to an ailing mother's aid, not needing to be compensated in Western dollars, but has other means of making sure her life works. These are examples of fugitive hope. And closer to home, the new sanctuary movement that many religious organizations are part of, which support families and individuals who are about to be deported, to find home, to find sanctuary, if necessary, to disappear them within the community. And also like accompanying the person to their hearings, to their court dates, and so forth. So in some ways, what this fugitive hope is telling us is this is not the time to hit the monster head on because the monster is too big, too strong, too powerful. Our prehistoric ancestors, when the woolly mammoths came, they wouldn't hit the woolly mammoth head on. They would hide in the cave behind a rock and throw their spear. And Bayo says again something really extraordinary. He says not only did they stay in these cracks, our ancestors, the reason why we're here today is because these ancestors survived. Right? This is one of the lessons that I have learned, is all our ancestors were survivors, because otherwise we wouldn't be here. And so what Bayo says is not only did they hide in these caves, but they decorated the walls of the caves. So the invitation again is, as we are staying in the cracks, as we are staying in the rupture, how can we cultivate that kind of decorating the walls of the crack, what would our practices look like? Where we're not kind of this tense, anxious, what's going to happen tomorrow, but we take the time to decorate the walls of the cracks. That's an invitation. And with that, I'm going to switch gears and speak about something that is close to my heart, because I come from a tradition of goddess worshippers, and today, or this period of time, we call it Devi Paksha, the fortnight of the goddess, and it is our high holidays as well. In fact, in Bengal, this is the time when you will see millions of people on the street, hundreds of thousands of these marquees or pavilions, temporary pavilions set up with the goddess because she arrives home at this time. And today is the sixth day of the entire celebration and the first day of the communal celebration. It's called Shashti. Shashti just means the sixth day. So the celebrations, communal celebrations start today and go until October the 2nd. And today's day is all about awakening the goddess. So literally the rituals are about unveiling her face so she can see for the first time. She and the devotees make contact with each other. They see each other. And this is done with a lot of different things in the rituals. There's chants, there's fire, there's incense, there's food, and especially sweet food. So again, the traditions really knew this deep in their bones, and these rituals came out of their bones. And a lot of soundscapes. So you have ululations, you have this conch shell blowing, and you have this special kind of drumming that happens only during Durga Puja. It's called thak. And if you hear that type of drumming, you know Durga Puja is coming. It's that tone. And what is very interesting is this time when Durga comes, the idea is that Durga comes home to us. Durga, by the way, comes from the word Durga, which means a fort. So she is powerful and protective as a fort, F-O-R-T, fort. And but what is interesting is that this time, and this ritual of awakening her, unveiling her, it's called bodhon. It's a word that literally means that, like invite and unveil. But this is also called akal bodhon, which means it is untimely awakening. She was not supposed to have come now, but she comes because there's a dire need for her. And the dire need in the story is that there is a demon, a buffalo demon, by the name of Mahishasur, who is just wreaking havoc, and no one can stop him. He's very powerful, and it so happens that he was actually also a great yogi, a great a person with a lot of tapas, lot of energy accumulated through ritual and worship and practices. And he was given a boon by the creator, Brahma, that no man or God could kill him. So there's a big trouble because everything is in a chaos, but no man or God can kill him. So what do you do? So of course, Brahma doesn't know what to do, so he goes to Vishnu, the preserver. The preserver says, I don't know, but let's go talk to Shiva. He's not only the destroyer, he's also the great yogi. He always has answers. So all the gods go to Shiva and ask him, what do we do? This is a mess. And he goes into meditation, comes out of it, and he says, I have the solution. Your boon specifically said no man or God could kill this demon. So we are going to co-create a woman, a feminine energy, who will be able to do this. So all the gods put in their energies, each god, and they could create this beautiful, she's described as like 1,000 blazing suns. And then one god gives her this weapon and that weapon and this jewelry and that jewelry, and she is fully ready for war. And finally she kills the demon. And demon here is, we can understand the demon in many ways, and I'll get into that in a moment. So just a few more ideas, and then I actually want to read to you a hymn that I kind of wrote about her or to her, but it's not really wrote, it's more like a download that came to me. So I want to share that with you. But before that, I want to tell you a couple more just brief stories to kind of hold this whole thing together. So first thing is, and because this comes up in the hymn, Durga is also Himalaya's daughter. So again, especially for the women in the room, how many of us have frozen fathers? And how does the system has frozen fathers? It's a thing to imagine. She's also very much a person or an entity or an energy that holds both the dialectic of care and compassion and mothering and that fierce energy of the destroyer. And in fact, so I told you, right, today is the 6th day. Between the 8th and the 9th days, so in this high holiday period, the highest part, the peak, is a 48-minute time window at the last 24 minutes of the 8th day and the first 24 minutes of the 9th day. It's called Sandhi Puja. And Sandhi literally means connecting. During this time, this is the time when she is in battle with one of these demons that are very hard to kill. And it is said that during this time, she shows up, or she morphs into another goddess, Chamunda, who is purely violence. To the point that when Sandhi Puja happens, it is recommended, at least in old schools, that you do not look at the goddess's face because she's too dangerous. So the priest would put a metal plate with like raised edges on the ground, fill it with water. So if you want to look at her face, you look at that water. You do not look directly at her face because just for these 48 minutes, she is too dangerous. Reminds me of the Medusa story, and that may be a theme for another time. What happens when feminine energy that's been trampled and ground down finally finds her rage? It freezes everything. So that's the time for another one. So I think I'm going to actually read this hymn that I wrote, because I think it says what I wanted to say, and it maybe says better than trying to explain it. So here goes. Ma erupts from Kailash. Kailash is the home where she and Shiva live. High in the Himalayas, from crystal cave and prayer-flagged silence, from snow-clad peaks that birth sacred rivers, from her retreat of lotus-scented stillness, where even the wind whispers Om. No longer the serene mother, she rises, the storm-crowned destroyer, she awakens to the cries of her children on earth. 10 arms blazing like solar flares, third eye burning a hole through veils of lies. Her lion's claws scrape the concrete of complacency, leaving cracks in every foundation built on the gospel of me first. Every structure of greed built on the bones of the forgotten. In these cracks, fugitive hope takes root. Her beautiful face reddens with wrath, even as she whispers words of hope to those in the steel cages at borders. The baby ripped from her nursing mother feels the warmth of a kiss on her forehead, a caress on her soft cheek, gentle as a snowflake. while deportation vans with masked goons prowling neighborhoods feel the fire of her gaze, their military-grade armor no match to the intensity of her rage. This is what the mythic buffalo demon looks like today, the buffalo demon she slayed in stories of old. He looks like politicians who speak of Christian love while caging immigrants, like billionaires building rockets to escape the planet they helped destroy, like justices who strip rights from women's bodies, like those who dare to legislate a person's own experience of their gender, then genuflect before corporate altars. She sees Gaza's children buried under bombs of misguided ideology, her tears falling like healing rain on their small bodies, while aid convoys turned back feel the thunder of her voice, demanding safe passage. Her flaying knife points towards politicians and their corporate backers, who count blood money while she gently lifts a sparrow caught in the crossfire, breathing life back into its broken wing. She sees the earth's fever rising, hurricanes baptized with corporate names, glaciers collapsing into black water, releasing ancient pathogens, long forgotten deadly diseases for which we have no cure, while oil executives toast their quarterly profits with champagne made from melted permafrost. Her trident quivers, poised to impale the throat of fascism masquerading as patriotism. Her sword hovers over the puppet strings between Wall Street and Washington. Her bow draws back, arrow aimed at lawmakers whom we entrusted with the sacred duty to guard our rights, who sold our freedoms for expediency and gold. Her chakra spins, steady, ready to slice through gerrymandered districts, to cut through the poison of purchased democracy. Ma Durga, your lion's roar could shake the Capitol dome. Your conch shell blast could shatter the glass towers of technocrats who traded their souls for surveillance thrones. Imagine, beloved, imagine our resplendent mother, our mother who came down to earth for us. See her now, 10,000 arms growing from her shoulders, our gentle mother transformed into a goddess of righteous wrath, each of her hands holding a voting ballot, a climate scientist's warning, a refugee child. Each of her hands holding tomorrow's promise, finally free to unfold. What if fugitive hope can take flesh? What if fugitive hope could become your flesh? Rise with her children, become her 10,000 arms. Your mother comes bearing fugitive hope, the kind that hides in plain sight, grows in the cracks of empire, blooms wherever justice dares to dream itself real. She has come in this hour of reckoning, not merely to tear down what ails our beloved blue planet, but to midwife what wants to be born. The fugitive hope that lives in every ballot cast for love, in every scientist who speaks the truth, in every child who crosses a border to safety, in every tomorrow that refuses to be held captive by today's cruelties. We bow to the mother who has promised to never abandon us in our hour of deepest need. We call out to her, trusting she will come. For how can she not? Though we cannot know what form her coming will take. Can we trust her? Can we surrender to her all-encompassing love? Hey Durge, Ma, Anandamai, the blissful one. Here, we place our broken world in our 10,000 arms. Please, Mother, stand by us. Please, bless and protect.